Hi, we are JKwan, a new podcast of views from foreigners based in Japan, focusing on worldwide racial and systematic inequalities and disparities, language, music, the arts, and culture. Created by everyday people for everyday people.
Awesome. Welcome to the dungeon. Yeah, cool. Nice. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm all right.
Yeah, sorry. I always feel like that's like a loaded question. It's like, how's life?
Yeah. No, usually I say I'm okay because I usually am, but
Yeah.
there's a lot going on.
Cool.
A lot happening in my life and just in general as well with the
Yeah.
COVID. I think the same for everyone, and plus all the other stuff. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm doing really well. I saw my friend today and we were able to like catch up. So that was really nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that was really
Good.
nice.
How does it feel like wearing a mask though when you go out?
Yeah, we went to eat, so we had to go mask off, but it's cool. Yeah, he was who I thought he was. Have you been able to see people like folks, friends?
No,
No.
no. I haven't met up with any of my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are really busy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I work from home too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to go out actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know I'm gonna have to. But I mean, I go out because I have to. Like, if I've got to go shopping, then I go. The march last week is a big deal for me because I don't like to go out.
Yeah. Man, I wanna get into that.
I had to go. I just had to go. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like I'm like really excited to get into like your experience at the march, and I have like I have a whole list of questions actually that I prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really excited about this myself personally.
Me too. But I'm also not nervous. I think it's a really good idea.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and because I've seen, I don't mean to dive right into, but I've seen some posts from Japanese people
Okay.
who respect them and like they don't understand the marching in Japan
Mm.
to Japanese people and so on. But it's everything to do with Japanese people. It's everything to do with everybody. It's the world.
That's the thing. So, like marching and protests like happen in Japan. So yeah.
I'm just saying that some Japanese people are posting online.
What are they posting?
Why they're marching in Japan? It's got nothing to do with Japan. It's to do with America.
Right.
The ones that are that I highlight and that are repetitive from different people. They think it doesn't have anything to do with Japan, and there shouldn't be a march in Japan.
Okay. Well, let's get into that. What would you say to that? What do you think?
Well, Japan is affected by the West, so and there are a lot of black people in Japan and people of color, right? As I say, and Japan is very influenced. And why I know this, I've been here for 20 years, and it really hasn't changed for me because. And I'm not saying all of Japan, but in a lot of the industries, like I'm employed with agency, right, modeling agency, where I do TV stuff, and I have to tell the agents, listen, don't call me for an audition if they're looking for white girls, because you're wasting my time. And a lot of them are looking for white girl, but they don't say it because it's illegal, right? And when you adverts on the trains, on you rarely see black people on there, right?
Sorry, one more time.
Rarely black people on a lot of the commercial that they have on the trains. You know what I mean?
Sure.
it's usually, you know, it's Japanese or Caucasian, right? And then you can see that influence there, blonde hair, blue eyes, or not necessarily always blonde hair, but white woman or white man before there's a black person. There are black people, but it's very, 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 very few and far between, right? In my job, I mean, you know, where I work, it's I work I work at the university with a lot of Japanese people, and the people that there's the English section and the Japanese English section, and this is something that they do to me. I'll see a coworker that usually says hello to me, but when they're talking with a white person, they completely ignore me. They don't even say hello, and I'm like, wow. Even the staff would, and this is like a few occasions. The office staff, when I go in we still have to sign some paperwork sometimes. I'll go in and I'll hand in the paperwork, or they have to get something for me. Then the white staff will come in. Now they will put them in front of me.
Oh, okay. So they'll let them come. Really? Yeah. But you're also a staff.
Yep. But that's what it happens. It happens.
Yeah. Even regularly, like even now.
Yeah. I'm talking like this. This year. Early this year, this happened. Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting because I'm assuming.
And the white staff don't say anything because they see it happening, but they're so used to the privilege, right? That
right.
And I'm standing there, and I'm already asking for whatever I need, or whatever they want me to give them. But they will say, "Oh, can I?" I'm standing there.
Yeah.
They've already talked to me before, and they're supposed to be dealing with me. They let me wait before I get what I've already asked for and sort out the. It's like they lose their minds, kind of thing. You know, they get all excited because it's a white person. And this is just my take on it, you know?
Sure. Is the term like implicit bias appropriate here? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So actually, it's interesting that you brought your university experience, because I actually wanted to know more about you. We actually haven't like really talked at all, really. I only seen you in the Zoom meetings, in the group meetings. But so yeah, like it would actually be really nice to like, if it's okay with you, to like hear a little bit more about your story, your experience, what brought you to Japan. Yeah. So I want to learn more about you, and all I know is that you are in Osaka. You're working in Osaka. Yeah. So could you tell me a little bit about?
I won't mention the name of my university because, you know, I think
it's
not. But I work at two universities. I wasn't talking about one of the universities. Actually, I have a part-time and a full-time position.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one of them. One of the universities are really, really, actually really nice. Not experienced that yet. Although there is a student, see, I'm going off course because there is a student now. She's mixed with Japanese and black, and her mother had to address her teacher at university, so she was getting discriminated, and the way that the teacher talked to her as well.
Really?
And
okay.
The child was born and raised in Japan. She speaks Japanese. That's her first language. And they said, "Do you speak Japanese?" I mean, this is the teacher that's been teaching her, you know, for over a year or so or more, probably, but possibly. But had said to her, "Do you speak Japanese?" And very hostile towards her until her mom had to step in. You know. That's not
right.
No. But everybody thinks that people in education are because of their intelligence, they're not racist, but they're one of the, and this is also not just in the Japanese world, in the Western world, they're one of the worst, actually, in my opinion. Yeah. But I mean, to begin with, when I came to Japan, I've been here. This is my 20th year.
Wow, 20th. Yeah.
I came here just for 1 year. That was my intent. I had a partner back home in England, and I was going to go back, but I couldn't. I fell in love with the freedom that you feel here. And I've heard another black person, actually more than one black person. I was watching an interview. It's called Black in Japan, and I was watching someone being interviewed, and they were talking about that freedom that I also feel here. I don't feel it in England. I don't feel it in any other country, apart from like when I went to Jamaica, I felt that. But when in Japan, I've never felt that, the freedom that I feel here. And I guess I never realized what it was. And I think it's not being afraid being stopped by police. I've been stopped once.
Right.
That was, he wanted to get my phone number for a date.
Okay.
So that wasn't, you know what I mean? So I've not experienced, I'm not saying it doesn't exist and foreigners don't experience it. I've just never experienced that in 20 years. I also rent cars, I drive in Japan. I've never been stopped ever whilst driving. So I walk through, people do stare at me. I do get the stares and stuff, but there's a freedom that I feel here that I've never felt anywhere. Sure.
Would you say like there's still freedom, but like there's freedom, but there's still discrimination here and there?
Yeah.
Yes. So the two are like, you know, they're separable. Like
separate, and you can still live here. I mean, I like I said, I came for one. I'm being here on my 20th year.
Yeah.
I can still. I mean, every country's got their ups and downsides, right? But the freedom part in Japan is what keeps me here. You know?
Yeah, cool. That's good to hear that there's at least some positive. Yeah. Cool. So my next question is, could you tell me a little bit about your experience with racism in Japan? Has that been a significant issue for you in Japan?
I've had lots of different experiences.
Yeah.
See, before coming to Japan, I didn't read anything about. I was a little bit radical anyway when I came, and I'm more radical now. But when I came to Japan, I didn't read books on Japan because they were written by non-Japanese people, and that was their experience. And I was like, well, I'm a black person. The majority of them are white people as well, and they're men, and I'm a woman, and there's so many different reasons, right? So I thought, well, I'm not reading that. I'm gonna just go work on my own experience, right? So when I first got here, the first discrimination I felt was from a white person, and it was one of the directors of Nova.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
And that's what I worked for first for six months, and it was indirect because it wasn't. I didn't hear them say it, but one of the girls that I came over and met them at the airport. Like, it was a group of people from, you know, different countries at the airport. So we all kind of took each other's numbers and so on. And we had to meet several days before meeting. We met together, and then we went to the big orientation. So the actual, I think it's one of the directors or some kind of head said, that I wasn't there. Based on my surname, because my surname is German, right? So it based it on my surname.
Okay.
Yeah, and they went. One of the girls came over to me. She goes, "What's your surname?" And I said, "You know." I said, "You weren't here." I said, "What is it?" And they went, "Well, you said that you were." And I was like, "What?" So I went over to him and I said, "Excuse me, you said I weren't here." And he went, "What's your name?" And I said it. And he went, "Oh," and I said, "So who did you think I was?" He wouldn't answer me. Like, you know, so he had an impression of what I was supposed to.
Right, as it was a German name.
Right. Yeah. So, but because of slavery, we've all got different names, right? So how are you gonna, you know what I mean? So, so that was my first encounter with racism. There's so many, and I can't remember the exact dates.
Sure.
The other times, like working, and how people want to more talk to my Caucasian counterpart more than me, and more interested in them than they are. Japanese students, even today, this is the way that I know whether Japan is changing. When we get new students and they ask me where I'm from, I ask them to guess. And they will say, first thing is America, then Brazil, then Africa.
Somewhere in it, yeah.
They never guess that I'm from England. So that shows that there's no change in the 20 years that I've been here, right? That the students are not, they don't imagine a black person coming from England.
Right.
That's a problem. So because the students, the education is saying that, you know, I need all the classes that I do, right? So it's saying something about what their education, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
they're saying that in most countries, in Japan included too, they want the students to be ambassadors, right? International ambassadors, to know what's going on around the world and so on, but to not know that there's Black people living in England, right? And they sometimes they never guess it, or it's the last country that they come to because they
Right.
can't else.
Right. And would you say this is like, a result of the education system maybe, or culturally there's just not enough exposure to these kind of associations, like, oh, like Black people can also come from the UK, they can also have German names.
Right. I do. It's education and exposure. So I guess like there's not enough, maybe not enough Black teachers where they can learn. Because I mean, I did start off after Nova. I worked in a high school for 11 and a half years. So I got them coming out of junior high, and so those students they met me. But even on and that I had an experience where one of the students said she was scared of Black people.
Really?
And the teacher that I was team teaching with laughed it off. And I went, no. I want to address this now. Yeah. Right? And I'm a different kind of person. A lot of people wouldn't do that, right? Because fear of the backlash, but I don't care. Yeah. Because for me, it's really important that I wanted, she's never met me before. Why is she scared of me? Right? So I wanted to know about this. And she said that, from her family, this also from her family, and just, Black people are scared. And I'm trying to go back here, and I'm thinking maybe things that she sees on TV or whatever, because we, in the movies, it's a lot better now. But in the movies, we're portrayed as bad characters, right?
Yeah.
In 20 years ago, and it is getting better, but not fast enough. There's that too. There's little children with their parents pointing at me, going "Kawaii," but I approach it. I go to the mother, and I go to the mother and say, first of all, says the child, why am I scary? And in Japanese, I ask him, right, and they're all she or her, and they can't talk, and I'm like, well, why am I scary? And then the mom's like going to see myself. I said, no, don't say sorry, because this came from you. So I go for the parents. I said, you taught him this, right? Or you taught her this. So they don't just get scared. They're taught this, right?
Yeah, right. As parents. Go ahead.
And I also was thinking about this, because I sometimes in Japan you have lots of posters all around and so on the train and so on, and I saw something. I thought, well, this could be another reason. Like in Japan where it says a bad person or a thief or whatever, it's always in a dark image, right? Have you ever? So it makes students think that the students identify us with that dark image.
Right.
So I'm thinking in that terms as well. I always thought maybe it's the parents, right? Yes, it could be the parents, but it could also be media, Japanese media, and how they perceive bad things, right? And that's what they use. They always use a black character most of the time, right? For a bad person or a thief, or and that's what they use as an animation. Right?
Actually, I do want to go back to the point you were making, or when you were talking about how, I guess, like an underrepresentation of Black people that you saw in like commercial advertisement, for example. What are your thoughts on how much certain demographics of people should be represented in the media? Like, should it be like proportional to the number of people who are Black living in Japan, for example?
No, it should be equal. It doesn't matter how many Black people are living in Japan. It shouldn't be based on that. It should be all equal. It should be an equal. If they shouldn't need a color something because everybody uses. Do you understand? If you're selling a product, right? If you're selling a product, it shouldn't be based on the color of a person's skin. It should be based on how good they are and the portfolio is and so on. But in Japan, it's based on skin color, right? And beauty, right? So we don't really stand a chance usually, unless they're directly looking for a black person.
Mm. I remember, so you raised the point of like, how could you hate me if you don't even know me? Right? You brought up that sentence, and it made me think of, I just recently watched the podcast by Daryl Davis. Have you heard of him? Daryl Davis. Oh, really? Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. This would be a good chance for me to introduce you. Super, super, super interesting guy. Amazing person. So he's most well known as someone who is a musician, but who has converted over 200 people, or deconverted 200 people, over 200 people from the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
I have heard. I don't know his name. Yes, I have heard of him.
So what he did was, he attended. His story is amazing, and he, all this started with him asking that question. It's like, how could you hate me if you don't even know me? Right? And that sparked his drive to answer that question. And he started, going to KKK rallies and talking to people and learning, questioning, so it's quite interesting. I really recommend.
I'll check it out. I'm trying to think of the woman that I'm interested. Jane Elliott. Do you know her?
No.
She's originally a elementary school teacher, junior high school teacher from America, and she did a research with her student, and she taught them to be racist, right? And it's called the blue-eyed.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It was her Jane Elliott, and I love what she does.
Right.
I love that she's very upfront, and what she tries to do is put Caucasians, or blue-eyed Caucasians, blue and green-eyed Caucasians in our position. She does what are they called now? These let's just say research with them, and they all join up for this little, I don't know what they think it's going to be, because the first time I ever saw this was in the 80s with Oprah Winfrey, when she was on the show, and it was just because the word for it, I can't think of it right now, it's on the tip of my tongue. Experiment that they did, right? And I've been in Japan so long, I don't use I forget the words. The experiment that they did with the audience, and they treated them really badly. Like, you queue over there, don't talk to us, go over there, right? So as if, I guess, the way that she believed that black people are treated, right? And even though it was an experiment, right? The people got really angry. The white people got really, really angry. And then even after the fact, when it came out, we were just experimenting and giving you an idea what it's like to walk in the shoes of black people. Even after the fact, and then she said that, and they were still angry. Right. And she's like, "But this is their life every day, all day."
So let me just clarify. Like there was one group who had brown or blue eyes, and they were treated differently.
The group with brown eyes were treated better than the group with blue.
Okay.
So she split them up.
Right, but they didn't know which group they were in.
They didn't know what was happening because it was an experiment, and they didn't know. And so she treated the blue-eyed people with really bad respect, and like how black people were treated in the 60s, right? In England and America, and I guess all of the European countries and that, right? So they were treated more or less in the same way. And they were really angry, and they protested, and etc. And some of them were leaving. So she just goes around the world. She goes around the world doing this.
Yeah.
And people get really angry, and they still don't understand, or claim they don't understand, about what it is that she's trying to prove, because they still get angry. And she said, this is an experiment about how Black people are treated. And so we want you to experience it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they can, because you can get up and walk away, but they can't because they're Black. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I recommend you see one of her experiments.
Jane Elliott?
Jane Elliott.
Okay. Jane Elliott.
She's very radical, and she's very powerful. She's very strong.
That's actually, so I wanted, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go. Okay, thanks. I actually wanted to kind of like ask you about that. Like, what do you mean by radical? Can you?
Radical is, well, I guess each people have their own. So this is just my interpretation.
Sure.
But she doesn't mince her words. She says what she means. She means what she says.
Yeah.
Right. Very straightforward.
Yeah.
Very strong, and she'll for example, she'll walk into a room full of white women. I think it was all white women, and you can find this on YouTube. And she says to them, I want the white people in here to stand up. If I'm trying to remember the words, it's not the exact words. If you would swap places with Black African Americans or Black people, I can't remember the word she used. And she goes, "Oh, okay, maybe you didn't understand."
If you would swap places?
Yeah. Any white person in here, if you would swap places with a Black person.
Like seats or like lives? Or?
No. Just she's saying to stand up.
Okay.
Anyone to stand up, you wouldn't mind changing places with a Black person. Their life, not the seats, just their lives.
Life. Okay.
And she said, "Well, I want to stand up," and they're going. And she's like, "Well, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying." So she said it again, and no one stood up. And she goes, "Oh, so you understand what they're going to be? You want it for them, but you don't want it for you. You want that lifestyle for them, but you don't want it for you." So she's saying that you understand what's happening, because sometimes we sometimes say it's education we don't know, but she's saying you do know. So why do you want it for them? Right, and that's why I like is that she is very direct.
Right. She's not afraid to like make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I use radical in a very, for me, it's a positive way, a positive term, and I do speak out. My Facebook page is very radical. It's very positive. I mean, I got an email from someone that I worked with. She actually was my boss, supervisor, my boss. Gosh, when was that? 2013, something like that. And I worked with her for several years, and she went back to America, and we're still friends on Facebook. And she mailed me recently saying she was thanking me for how I educated her. And I'm there to educate Black people, but white people see what I'm posting on there, and she's another woman from Australia also I met once, and she became friends on Facebook, and she said to me, I really appreciate what you said, what I'm learning from what you put on there and what you write on there.
That's interesting. Wow.
And I was very surprised, and I feel good about it. It's not a brag. I feel good about it, that because a lot of people will like stupid things on Facebook, but when I put stuff like that, real life stuff, it's a hand. That was one. It's just one. I've made a difference.
Yeah.
If I'm educating one person, and it takes a year or 2 years or 5 years, but I'm educating one person in 5 years, that's the difference. Because she's got 2 children that she can change. She's got a husband. She's got friends. Do you understand what I mean? So it's like
right. Wow.
So that's how I look at it. If it's just one person's mind that I'm changing them, and the thing is, she was not, she's not someone that's prejudiced or anything in that way or racist. It's just that certain things that because you have privilege, right? And I think it was because I talk about white privilege, and a lot of white people get offended by it, right? and it's not anything offensive. It's just your privilege. There's things that you do that we can't possibly do because, you know, their ancestors have laid down a path for them.
Right.
And there was rules made in the past.
Right. Cleared the bushes.
Yeah. So she recognized privilege. I think that's what it was, what it meant.
How about I kind of want to just flip it around just for one sec. Is there such thing as Black privilege in any sense of the word?
No, because white privilege, you have to understand what white privilege is before. So I'm thinking you don't understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
White privilege is where a white person can more or less go anywhere and feel comfortable in their skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hardly ever that one person in the room, unless they go outside of their comfort zone to their countries or whatever. But we can be a Black person in a room full of people, right? And do you understand what I mean? And
Sure.
Another privilege is when a white person calls the police on a Black person.
Yeah.
Because they think that because they're white, and they have the police on side. Which more than not usually the case. Your privilege, for example, and I'm going to use my experiences. A white person. This is when I was going to England this year. I'm getting off the plane, and the flight attendant said to me, "Oh my God, I love your hair," and I said, "Thank you." And as I walked past her, she put a hand in my hair, and I like,
yeah,
and I bit my tongue because 2 weeks. It was a 13-hour flight, and I was really tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I'm going to be that angry Black woman right? And that's a privilege that they feel that they can touch us anytime they feel like, and if we speak out about it, then we're
right.
We've got the problem, and that you shouldn't be touching anybody. Right? This is a job that you're doing. Why do you feel that you could put your hand in my hair? I'm not a pet. Right? Or they ask, you know, because there's privilege and there's what's it called? There's another word for it. There's privilege, and there's another one where a white person would. It's kind of a racism. Oh, what's it called? I'm losing the words. I'm forgetting the words of everything.
It's okay. Take your time.
It's when a white person, or even someone that's not your color, asking, "Okay, what's it called?"
Can you explain the situation?
Yeah, when they say something to you like micro racism. Right?
Oh, okay.
Micro something, micro
aggression.
Like, no, not aggression. It's aggression. Microaggression or micro. It'll come. So they'll say something to you about, well, you know, Black people can't really do stuff like that, can they? You know, like, oh, Black people can't swim because the bones are too dense. And they say things that is actually microaggression or microaggression. And they say it, but
I would almost say it's like unconscious racism.
Yeah,
or like implicit racism or something.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And this with my hair, that's something that I call either a privilege or microaggression, right? Where they feel that they can do whatever they want, and if we say anything, it's like,
Interesting. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that educational lesson. How about like if you're traveling, like is it possible for you to go somewhere where and then you get privilege from being in somewhere, and then if a white person goes to that place, they lose the privilege depending on like the country, culture, place? Is that possible?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. But I wouldn't like to. Wouldn't like that, because we're all equal and we all should be treated.
Okay.
Right? I mean, when I went to Jamaica, right? My mom and my sister and my cousin is from Jamaica, but she lives in one of the islands, St. Martin's, and we like an onsen that they have there. And, because the woman thought we were Jamaicans, she was really rude. But then when she heard our accent, it's human. So you have also these microaggressions towards our own color, right?
Interesting.
But she was from Jamaica. We were Jamaicans actually visiting there, but she realized we weren't.
Yeah.
So if a white person had gone in there, I don't think they would have gotten that. That they wouldn't have received that. But and until we started talking, and she wanted to be friends with us, we weren't interested at all. But so to answer your question, I don't know, but I hope it wouldn't make me feel good.
Right.
No one should be
privileged over.
Or yeah, we should,
yeah,
be treated different from anyone else. Because we're human beings at the end of the day.
Nice. I like it.
You're born with the color. You're not. It's not a choice that you've made. It's a color. How can you? It doesn't make sense to me. How can you judge someone based on the color of their skin?
Yeah. This is what I got. This is what you got. Yeah.
Makes sense at all. It really is like really ridiculous. And to think it's gone on for so long. Right? It's gone on for so long, and people are still. I mean, look at it this way, right? I'm not saying the rights, but it says rights, but I'm going to say that the marches and the protests that's going on over the world, right? It's because people don't want to treat black people equally. How does that sound? I mean, listen to what I'm saying, right? We're saying stop racism, and they're saying because it's no debate. This is wrong.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to, and it's not happening really anyway, right? But it's happening.
Right. Or why else would people be protesting?
Right?
What would they be angry about? Right, exactly.
Because they don't want to stop it. That's the only thing. They don't want to stop it, right? Why would we say all lives matters when it is not? Because Black lives doesn't matter. All life matters when Black lives matters too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, right. Oh, do you mind if I show you a picture actually? Yeah. I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a picture with you. I think it's really cool. So often you hear a lot, well, I hear a lot. It's just that people saying, we need to have discussions about this. We can't just hide away from these issues, right? And I want to know, what does that mean? Like have discussion, like how should we discuss? What should we be discussing about? What kind of questions should we be asking? Like I feel like, like I'm on the sidelines of things, you know what I mean? Whereas like you're on the vanguard, you're in the front line of everything, the whole issue, right? So I'm always asking myself like, okay, I want to have a discussion, but what can I ask? What's my role in this whole thing? What kind of responsibility or accountability do I have? So I saw this really cool picture of this young man. He's holding, you can see, a signboard, right? There's some some questions, right?
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could have a signboard, what questions would you want on that signboard? What do you want to teach?
Oh, I'm not teaching anything. You should educate yourself.
Yeah, sure.
So that's how I am. You should educate yourself. Many people claim to be intelligent, and in the beginning, the intelligence test was pioneered against us. They created against us, and they said that we were the most docile, stupidest, whatever, right? So I know everybody's got their way of doing it, and I'm not saying that picture is wrong. I'm just saying it's not how I see it. If you want to help, you educate yourself. Don't ask me. Right? If you want to be a doctor, what do? You go educate yourself. Right? What about I don't know, like medicine, you got to educate yourself. You want to know about history, you got to educate yourself. You want to know about all these different things, you got to educate yourself, right? So that's and that's my point of view. Go educate yourself. And
awesome.
And I believe strongly, if you're going to educate yourself about a culture, don't read what people have written who are outside of that culture, because it's going to be tainted. You read about the people who are from that culture and what they've read.
It's going to be skewed.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
yeah. So, and that's the best way to go. And that's why I said to you before I came to Japan, I didn't read anything that was written by people outside of the culture.
Right. Everyone's it's written by all white people. Yeah. This is really cool because it helps me segue into my next curious point. I remember during the meeting you mentioned, you're a very firm supporter of Malcolm X.
Oh,
yeah, and I would love to hear more about that. Like I saw a few videos of him. He is extremely well spoken and very well articulated, and it's just his composure and his presence is quite powerful.
Yeah.
I was wondering what do you mean by what do you support of him? What do you believe he's got right?
People say black people are well spoken, and it's for me, it's a microaggression for me, because people expect us not to speak well or not to speak. Do you know what I mean? This is 400 years of black people being enslaved. So we had to take on a language that wasn't ours, but then we're still being told that, that we are well spoken, as if we're a good slave or a good boy. You understand what I mean? And so for me, it's like chalk nails on a blackboard or on a whiteboard or on a board. I shouldn't say any color board because we can't say any color board. And nails, it's like nails on a board for me, because Malcolm X was powerful, and that's good enough for me. It was radical. Again, I like he said what he think, and he's like fire with fire, right? Whereas a lot of the times, Martin Luther King, at first he was, turn the other cheek, let's be peaceful. Whereas the white people weren't being peaceful, but they were dictating to the black people to be peaceful, but they were never peaceful. Other people. Says, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. If you burn my house down, I'm going to burn your house back down, because that's the only way they're going to feel, right? Because they didn't feel anything until something with what they did to someone else, to them, right? So money and not turning the other cheek is the only way that we can get respect and get something back. Like not spending money in the community, not using their services, right? This is how they will change. And this is I mean, with the riots, they're breaking into the shops. People are starting to buy black and not buy from the other companies, because we're tired of it. Because black people are one of the biggest consumers. So you see companies like Nike, even the football, all changing their minds and all this stuff, right? But I don't care, because you didn't care before.
Right. That's interesting. That's really cool. That's like a really interesting way to like protest, essentially, like to boycott, these different businesses.
Yeah, and I promote on my page, buy black. All these air products that I used to buy that I didn't realize weren't black owned. And I was like, oh my god. and I'm like, so I'm only buying black because they serve me well, and they're me. They're a black community that's concerned about us, and we can build it. And it's not like 1921. Is that 1921? Have you heard of Black Wall Street? Have you heard about that?
No.
It was a thriving black community in Tulsa, in Oklahoma.
In 1921?
Yeah, I think it was 1919. 1919.
Okay.
They burnt it down in 1919.
Oh, so they. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. They burnt it down. They had their own doctors, libraries, schools, airplanes. They had everything. And this is when through segregation, right? They had their own schools, they had their own everything. It was called Black Wall Street, White Wall Street, right? Because they had their own community. This is one of them. There are others where it has happened, but this is one of the most. And a lot of people don't know about it.
What is it? 1919 Tulsa?
1919 Tulsa. The Tulsa. Was it Tulsa? And it was called. Now it's called the Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. Okay.
I don't know, but that's what it's called.
Okay, interesting. I want to look that up. Cool. I guess this touches on the topic of change, right? Like changing people's minds and perspective. Going just a little bit back to Daryl Davis. What he did was essentially he befriended, people on the other side of things. He developed relationships and he talked to people and asked questions. What have you ever experienced, like changing someone's mind or perspective on things?
Well, yeah, like I said to you,
with the social media. Yeah.
One of my friends. But I never thought that she wasn't like a KKK or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I'm not here to do that. Like I said, my stuff is online. If you want to look at it, you can look at it. And I don't mean you. I just mean in general. I always post because that's where I can really be me. And even when I'm not online, I'm still vocal. Also, things even in Japan, when I feel something's wrong in my job, I have to cool down when something happens to me. But if I'm talking about race, and I talk about it, you know, and I've been told to calm it down by another person who's black. I won't. That's how they are, but that's not how I am.
Yeah, like how does that make you feel? Like, what does that mean? Like to calm it down,
because it just means don't make them feel uncomfortable. It's making me feel uncomfortable because you're making them feel uncomfortable. And so we're always making feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But I'm not telling a lie. I'm just speaking the truth.
Right. If you don't want to feel comfortable, don't step outside your house at all. Stay inside the whole day, or something.
Right. Or it could be a worry about it could be many different things. But I would never tell anybody not to speak out because they're speaking their truth.
Right. Especially if they're going against oppression and something serious. Yeah. What do you think in Japan? There's any kind of I guess like institutional racism in Japan?
Yeah. I've had problems trying to buy the house that I live in.
Right. Oh, I've heard that a lot of times. These kind of issues.
Yeah. And I don't want to speak much about it until I get it, because once I get the house, then I'll talk on it. But I've been to lots of different banks, and the one bank that I went to with a Japanese professor. Well, we worked together at high school, and now he teaches at university too. He's not a professor, but he teaches there. So in Japan, you get the status of professor when you teach at a university, regardless whether you studied or not. I couldn't. I was like saying to him, "Are you okay?" And the man who was in charge of, there was two. One was a younger guy who I talked to on the phone and made the appointment with, and then the other was an older guy, which I think was his boss or supervisor, like kohai senpai thing, right? So, and he didn't let the young guy speak, but he was the one speaking, and he was attacking the person who and this is a retired teacher, but I mean retired from high school, but you couldn't do university, you can work until you're 70, I think. And so he was just attacking him, and I was like looking at him, I didn't say anything. I was looking at him, and he wouldn't, because in Japan they don't have expressions, right? Sometimes when something's happening, and they just.
Wait, why? Sorry, why was he attacking him?
Because maybe not the fact that he came to help to translate or to help me get this for a house. I can't speak for the man, but this is what I felt.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Talking with a disrespect to him.
Okay.
And I was looking at him, and I was like going, and he was like just going, and I thought, okay, maybe this is just the way he speaks, and that's okay then. And then we got out. I said, was that man rude to you? Because I felt, and in some of the things, yeah, he was really rude. I said, why didn't you? I was looking at you, and like, why didn't you say something? He goes, well, I don't want you, because I know what you like. He's like, and I said, well, that's wrong. I want to speak to his boss. And like he said, no, I don't. It really upset him, so we had to leave because I wanted to challenge it.
You want to challenge the guy? Yeah.
Like that's what you do when people come like that, right? And the bank before that was saying, well, we don't get black people in, or foreigners. He said, I think he said foreigners, and I said, so what's that got to do with anything?
Right, you're just a person like.
In my country, right? If you said that, I can take you to court. Because it's not about, I'm not coming to you with my God cockagenness, with my foreignerness. I've got a job, I earn money, I've been working, I've got all the things that you checked off the list. So what are you talking about?
Do you know the website Tokyo Real Estate, for example?
There's one for Osaka too.
Okay.
And that's where I got them, and that's where I got them from. One of them.
Okay.
There's that was. No, go ahead.
There's an option in when you're selecting an apartment. It's like foreigner friendly box, and you can check it.
Yeah. When you go to a clinic and it says we've got English speakers, and you go there and they don't speak English. We just want your money.
As long as you're, right? That should be the case. That would still make things better.
Yeah. So yes, there is, and I guess because we don't experience it every single day, it is there, and in the employment in employing people to work in university status, to work in high school status. I think really the high schools are not so bad, but the higher you go, there's a lot more systemic racism there. It's very difficult, to get into a university, but I think as a Black woman, it's even more difficult.
Sure.
But I got into my university because of my passion and my experience, and I'm able to teach the kids history of gospel music.
That's cool.
It sounds like it's about music. It is about music, but it's about the history of Akabulan, which is Africa's real name.
Oh, cool.
And my kids get to know that, and then it's awesome because I get a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And the students have 2 terms, and one term I teach the history of gospel music, and the other term I teach psychology.
Cool.
Which is my major. History, it's just me studying about the history of us, and teaching Japanese students who don't really know about slavery, and if they do know, they only think that Africa starts at slavery or Akabulan starts at slavery. So I teach them, or open them up to what Africa was before slavery. Like the Moors that traveled the entire world, and the richest Moor that no one still has ever come near to, right? They learn about how slavery started, why it started. They learn about the music. They learn about how today we still use African music in Western music. They learn about call and response, which is part of African culture. They learn about the horrors of slavery and how music was their psychologist. And their ancestors were really important. And this is where the students are connected, because in Japan, the ancestors are very important, right? And so the students, when we mention ancestors, that's the connection, and it wakes them up. Talk about revolting slavery. We talk about blackface, which has been used a lot in Japan regarding Black people, and I teach my kids about blackface and why it's offensive to Black people. Because we talk about the minstrels, and we go all the way back up to today. We talk about Harriet Tubman, and the girls really like that because they do presentations afterwards, and they do her, and they, for me, gospel, which is Black spirituals, which is African spirituals, right? I leave it open for the students for which way or what road they want to go through. For me, gospel is a code for the slaves to escape. They used it as a map, right? The songs were coded. So kids are like, they're really, really surprised. Right? And religion wasn't the thing for them. It changed after the war and so on, but they used it to their best so that they can escape from slavery. So they see the slave ships, they see how the people, how they were murdered, and I get them. So I do one lecture, and the next is a workshop. And in the workshop, the students are asking questions to each other about what they were taught, and like and that's because they have a test in the second week, so that they're kind of helping each other. And I encourage them to ask questions about things that they weren't sure about, so that someone else might know, right? And then they have a discussion section too, where the groups of 5, and they have to write discussions beforehand. They have to prep beforehand. That's their homework.
Right.
Some of the things I've seen is like, I understand why white people were so bad to the Africans. I really want to understand, what do you think about it? So they will start talking about it. So these are some of the things that I read from their homework for the discussion, and they bring it up themselves, right? They talk about how deep the music was, how powerful music was for Africans, and how it helped them to get through slavery, and how powerful it is still today, right? So it's wonderful reading the feedback that they're on that, because I teach in English, so all my lectures are in English, right? And they have, again, like I said, at the end, they have they choose what they want to present, and it is like, I'm like, it's awesome to see what
cool.
I have them all dressed up in suits because I want them to realize how serious the presentations are.
So you have what?
We all wear suits.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
I do too. Yeah. They all wear suits and they present, and it's every year. They honestly, and I'm like, because they've learned and they show me what they can do. Instead of they have tests each week. I don't do tests. I want to see what they can do with their English, and how they can, how confident, and how confident they are with what they've got. And I don't grade them on pronunciation or grammar. I grade them on their passion and on their confidence and motivation. I grade them on their understanding. I teach them not to remember, because when they remember, you can't.
You're following a script.
Yeah, and it's not them, right? I teach them ad lib, because when you understand something and you forget it, because you know it, you can ad lib, you can change your words around. But when you just remember something and you forget a line or a sentence, you're standing there going like this, because you imagine the passage that you've forgotten, right? That means you don't really understand it. But this is something that when you understand something, you'll keep it forever. When you remember it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just something that I feel that Japanese students really do need to know. One of my students wrote in, she said, actually, it was a few of them. They said, "We are so
That's cool.
fortunate to get this opportunity to
Uh-huh.
learn this." And I was like, "Wow!" This is from things that they wrote in the.
Cool, cool, cool. I thought you said we are soul, like SOUL.
Oh
Cool.
no no
That
no!
would have been cool too. I'm like, what?
I remember the words. Yeah, so I said, "We are so to
Yeah.
have and to experience this opportunity."
Yeah.
I don't think there's many, if anybody is teaching this in Japan.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, definitely, I don't really see it. Just like these conversations, these discussions come up at
Yeah,
all.
we
Like,
talk about Jim Crow because I connect the gospel music to the era, because that's what it is. Gospel music, it changed what it was happening to the Black people. So the students get to understand this, right? And so it's just really beautiful. I'm looking at gospel music in its originality of what it was for, and it's beautiful music, but it's also um, like I said, a counselor, some kind of like a counselor for Black people. Music is like, and even when I was reading today, one of the students had written, he said that music is what they say. Oh my goodness, it's very deep because it can help us when we're down.
sure.
Right, and they
Sure.
even used it for themselves when we have a breakup or when we fail a test or whatever. We can put music on, and it can make us cry or make us look at the things that and look at it in different ways, right? They understand the power of music.
Did gospel? So you mentioned gospel was kind of like a code, right? But it didn't start as a code, did it? No, or it was only after.
No. It started as a code.
Oh, it started. Oh, cool. I didn't know. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
It started as a code. I mean, because what happened was the slaves were singing in their own tongues because there was a communication, right, for revolting, and so the masters stopped them on the plantation. So they had to um, they had to compromise, right, and find other ways. So what they did was sing the secular music, is what it was called at that time, right? Secular music with several different themes and genre, and one of them was religious music, right? So what they did was they mixed that secular music with the Black spirituals, right? And
Ah.
they turned it into a code eventually, so that they
Yeah.
could. So it started in slavery,
Yeah. Of
right?
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah.
And the word gospel actually started because it was called Black spirituals. Then um, a group of it was a group of college male and females were traveling the world because they were singing that Black spirituals. But it changed the name to their name, and I can't remember what it was now, and I should know this because I'm a little bit tired. And then after that, in the end of the 1930s, it was changed to gospel, and that was by Thomas Dorsey, right? So that's when gospel became more religious, right? Um, Thomas Dorsey and I forget the choir, and they still exist. The university still exists in America. Oh my God, why can't I remember? Sorry, yeah, I can't remember the names of them. But yeah, it had different themes, its names has changed throughout the years, and also the themes have changed throughout the years, and it usually followed what was happening regarding the situation for Black people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's cool that you bring up music because I don't know if you know this about me, but I do breakdancing or
oh really?
b-boying. Yeah. Uh, for all the breakers who are going to listen to this, if they do, they'll probably hate me for saying breakdance, but just so you know what it is. Breaking or b-boying, right? So it's really, really interesting to see on my just like on my social media pages, like a lot of dancers speaking out and saying and kind of like giving their dues essentially
Yes,
to black. Have you seen?
yes.
I don't know. Have you seen that? It's really cool.
Let me just get that. I asked one of my students to translate it for me because I couldn't understand. And he was I think he's a famous dancer. Let me see. And I asked him to translate because I knew it was something real deep. And he was saying, Japanese people, you need to open up your mouth because we take a lot from black culture, black music. And
Yeah.
he's saying that we need to stand up with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of just.
You know, I felt something in it. I didn't know. I wasn't completely sure what it was about, but I felt something, and I saw it online. I copied and pasted and sent it to. What's his name? Ryota Takaji. Ryota Takaji. Do you know him?
No.
Apparently he's famous. Am
Oh,
I
he's
right?
famous.
Hold on. Let me see. Takaji, yeah. Ryota Takaji. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently he's famous from what they're saying.
Let me see that Ryo Takaji.
Yeah. So my student, I had my student try to translate it for me.
Oh yeah, Ryoma Takaji.
Yeah, he says it's Japanese by the dancer. So he writes a comment from a long time ago. This is black discrimination problem in the United States. Nowadays, a black man was killed by white police, and these police were fired but not punished. This is terrible news. The people tend to think that discrimination has nothing to do with living in Japan, which I was saying to you before. But the dance and the music too, all of this is created by black people. And that's what I tell my kids that I found out recently that classical music was created by black people, and I didn't know. But I always tell my kids to research wherever, because I could be putting out maths. So I always recommend that you research stuff yourself, find out for yourself. Yeah, I was like, what? Profile has linked signatures calling for arrest and the police. He said only writing down the email address is not enough. I'm affected by this culture because it benefits him.
Yeah.
And it benefits a lot of people.
Right.
Right. And he's saying that we need to stand up. And this is awesome that he wrote it online.
Right. That's kind of pretty much exactly the reason why I'm speaking to you right now. It's because, I'm inspired by all these, all my dancer friends, like stepping up and trying to like pay their dues back to the culture and realizing like, holy shit, like we have benefited in so many different ways from Black culture. The music that we listen to, the art, the history, so many things. And
there's so many things you don't know because the history. So many. This is it's 5 CDs. It's called Hidden Colors.
Pardon?
And it's called Hidden Colors.
Okay, Hidden Colors.
Yeah, and even if you just watch the first one, I was like emotional because it's so deep and it tells you about what was hidden from us, what has been hidden from us.
Hidden Colors.
First, and this is in the I'll go for it.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's and this was done many years ago. It's got a lot of Black researchers, professors that have that created it, brought it together.
Cool. Oh, that's cool.
Right, and it's about who we are.
Cool.
Yeah, it's about who we are. I mean, at the end of my lecture, the very last lecture that I do, I tell my students get really upset because I tell my students that I don't know who I am, and they go, "What?" I goes, "This is not my surname." I go, like in Japan, your family name goes back and back and back. I said, because people say that slavery doesn't still affect us. And I said, yes, it does, because we don't know who we are. Right? And if we want to know, we have to go and pay for that DNA crap. And how reliable is that really? You know what I mean? I said, wind, that's a German name. My ancestors are from the motherland, they're from Akabulan. And I don't know my last name. I might die. I probably will die not knowing my last name.
Well, what's your full name?
It's Jennifer Wint. It's all Western.
So there's a lot of identity, identity issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So when the retaliation from a white person, it shouldn't even be a retaliation to whatever we're saying, and they go, well, slavery don't affect you now, but it shows how arrogant and ignorant they are, because even up to our last names is because of slavery.
Wow. Right. So that's like a generation to generation thing.
We weren't using his slave name because he's
cool. Wow, that's
Malcolm Little. And that's one of the reasons I love Malcolm X. I've read absolutely everything he's ever done. Even his speeches, I've got them in
that's cool.
In text form. I got them because for me he was the realest person. That's why he was assassinated. He was the realest person out there, and he thought like how I think, like how he thinks, and I really believe that if he had lived, it would have made an even bigger change. What a lot of people don't know about Martin Luther King is that the civil rights were written after he died. They killed him, right? And they use him all the time to make us go, no, well, Martin Luther King said, but you killed him, and he was a peaceful man. Right? So what does that say? He had to die so that the civil rights would work, because there was a riot. Again. Right? They rioted when they killed him, when they murdered him. And so the civil rights bill came. So don't get it, they make everybody think that, oh, we did it because he marched and all this stuff. Don't believe that crap. Because, please research it even more deeper.
Sure. Yeah. I kind of want to be respectful of your time, but one of the last things I wanted to touch on was, now that you raised up Martin Luther King and the protests and civil rights movement, just talking about current events right now and like the protests that's happening. We didn't even touch on that yet. We didn't even talk about that. But yeah, that's like a whole.
It's a lot. It's more than an hour. It's more than it's a lot, and I don't mind talking. I don't mind talking to you about it, but I think that people need to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Asking, what can I do? What should I do? La 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 la. No, get off your ass and do something. Because when you, like I said again, when you want to be a lawyer, when you want to be a doctor, what do? You go and find how to do it, right? So what, if you want to know about how to stop and help us and to support us, get off your ass and do something. Don't ask me. It's an insult. You've done something where you want to know and you want to share this. That's one way that you can do it. And yes, and it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I don't mind speaking on this, because you're asking me about my experiences. You're not saying to me, can you teach me what I need to do and what books? And when you did ask me about, I said, no, you have to do it yourself, because that's what I'm going to say to anybody. Please find out. But if you ask me about my experiences, I'm happy to share that with you, because that's something that you'll never experience. Right? You'll never walk a second in my shoes, or any other black man's shoes, right? So, or any other black person's shoes.
Right. I'm not gonna be like, hey, tell me about Black history. No, I can do that myself. But if I was to, yeah. I like that.
We're talking on my experiences and what I've done, and again, I don't represent everybody, but I'm sure a lot of people can identify with things I've been talking about. I haven't even talked about my life in England and how things were, and why I left England and moved to Japan. There's still loads of loads of things when I was at university, how I was treated there, you know, at school. The thing is, the system in schools, that's where they get us. And they make us hate ourselves. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
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 That and I'm a full supporter and encourager for Black people to educate their kids at home. Absolutely in full support of it, because the education system has nothing to do with us. It teaches us to hate the color that we're in. It teaches us to hate our hair, to hate who we are, and on top of that, we don't study anything about our culture.
Mm. So education definitely starts from home.
Yeah, that's why it needs to be, and I mean they should homeschool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Homeschool. Don't send them to those racist schools, because what they do, you know, the can you imagine a young child growing up in a school that's constantly telling them that you're nobody and you're not going to be anything, especially the Black men, the young Black youths, right? And you know, in England they've got this you know, the high rate of stabbing in and it's not just a Black thing, it's a white thing too, but of course it's focused on the black young boys that are doing it. People only talk about it, but they don't talk about why is it happening. When you put somebody in a corner and you tell them they're not going to be anything and do anything, and they can't, this is all their life, or this is what do you think they're going to do?
They're going to live up to that story.
Right? There's nothing positive. There's nothing. When you get out of school, you're not going to get a job, you're too Black, you're not going to do that, right? And of course they're not doing it, not saying it in that term directly, but that's what they're doing. Right, I'm talking from my experience when I went to school, and I talk with friends, with Black female, Black males who went to school, and how we were taught to hate ourselves, and not just school, media, on TV. You don't see us. There's that again experiment with a black doll and a white doll. Have you seen that?
Black doll and the white.
Yeah,
Oh.
the black dolls and the white dolls, and that you ask a Black kid which doll is prettier.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Black doll. You say which doll is more scary. They say a black child is saying the black doll, right? And the white child,
yeah.
Asian
child, yeah.
Right? That don't just come in your head. That's learned, right? And a black parent, a black parent is not telling their child that you are dangerous. Don't love Black people. That's coming from the media, and it's coming from education.
Yeah. Education, super important. Yeah. Cool. I guess. All right. This is my last question.
Sorry.
No. No. I love it. What's it called? So okay. So actually, not a question, but just curious to know if we're talking about stories and experience. Last week, the march in Osaka, what did that mean for you? Pardon? Sorry. Bittersweet. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to say everything that I felt, because that's between my community and me. But I'm, as you know, I don't want to go outside because of COVID and stuff like that. And I suffer with high blood pressure and all some things that makes me vulnerable. But this is something that, even though I didn't want to go because I wasn't happy about some things, but I had to go. I was compelled. I just had to go. I just had to go. I didn't know. I wasn't taking the train because I didn't want to be around people. I wore 2 masks. My gloves. I was like going for war. I was going to war, if you understand what I mean. And for me, I said, I'm risking my life to save my life. Do you understand?
Sure.
And it's something that I had to do. And when I was marching with all these different people, it was beautiful.
Really?
Yeah. It was really nice.
Yeah.
It was really, I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I was saying Black Lives Matter and stuff and really meaning it from my heart. And
was there anything that was surprising to you that you didn't expect?
the amount of Japanese people that were out.
Okay. Yeah. Looked like that put a smile.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was, there was some, the police had handled it really well. There's a guy that had messaged the saying that he's coming out there with his dog and he shouldn't be here in Japan. Is a racist in Japan. I'm like, what? It didn't make sense. A racist in Japan. Really? Why are you in Japan then? Do you know what I mean? They hate everybody, right? So it doesn't make sense. So he turned up with a few friends, and I don't know how true this was, but I just heard allegedly that the police escorted him off. Okay. He didn't bring it, and he was wearing the American
flag.
Not the flag, the other one, the
eagle.
No.
President.
No. Hold on. Wait, it's coming on. You know, in the war there was the
Confederate flag.
Confederate flag. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Okay. A Japanese guy wearing the Confederate flag?
No, it's a white guy.
Oh, okay.
It was a white guy. No, none of the Japanese people came. No.
Okay.
They were awesome, and these people running around like crazy. It was nice. The police were really nice.
Yeah.
So I was helping. I was with the water people. I was a volunteer, so I was giving out water to people that were. And that was funny because I thought it was they had to pay, but no, it was free. Just take the water and stuff like that. And
are you planning to do some more marches, or?
That's what they said, and they even have something on in July 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my band to play. But
band.
Yeah, I'm in a band.
Cool. Oh wait, what do you play?
I'm a lead vocal.
Cool. I play guitar.
You do? Oh, no.
Yeah. Got my guitar.
That's really so
cool. That's sick. Do you also do gospel? Just
not
personal?
No, not unless request because I'm not a Christian.
Okay.
I was raised one, but I'm not one. Not
okay.
Anymore.
Okay.
No, I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
That's from Africa. That's from Akabulan, and I'm spiritual, and I connect with my ancestors. I connect with people that are spiritual.
Is that like I'm curious to know, like, let's say for example, like me, like, oh, like I love gospel music. When I hear it, I love it. I want to learn it. I want to sing it. I want to sing it with like other people. Does that make sense? I'm not Christian, right? Yeah. I'm not Black. Is that?
No, you don't have music. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Music is music.
Mm-hmm.
One of the going back to the march when we all congregated at the park. Not everybody had turned up. Not all the groups had turned up, but we took a knee.
Mm.
I was bawling like a baby. That's when I felt
really.
With like 400 years, I was talking to the ancestors.
Yeah.
I was thanking them for bringing us this far, and because we're still here after all the crap that my ancestors been through. We're still here, right? We're still thriving. So the many who are entrepreneurs or who are creators of stuff. We're still here, no matter how hard they try to get rid of us, we're still here. And so this, so many things, the murders of people, including George Floyd and Sandra Bland, Brianna, all these people that the police that they've taken, because of Black. That's it. Just Black. How is that justifiable? They're unarmed. So why does it justify you murdering somebody that's unarmed? All right, if someone's got a gun, yeah, I get it. Someone's going to shoot you. Or if they're, in Flanders, is it Castile? The guy that was shot had the baby in the car, which shows you that they have no risk. They don't care because they don't see us as humans. There's a baby in the car and they shot the man like they were in a. It was just crazy. right? So for me, it was emotional because of all the death, slavery, all the things that we've gone through. It's 400 years, over 400 years, and it hasn't stopped. And we're treated like we've done something wrong by other nations because of what the media has done, right? If you look at history, right, well, all these islands are being, because before they had the Europeans colonizing all these places, there were Moors that traveled the world and didn't do this. They didn't do this. They taught Europeans to wash, to read, do mathematics, right? Philosophy. But this was stolen and said it was theirs. How can you do that to people that just traveled the world and wanted to share? And still continuing, right? Still continuing. It makes no sense to me at all. It makes no sense. And I don't understand why it's still going on. So all these things that were in me, all these things just flowing through, and I got so emotional. I was crying. I was just crying, and it was hard. But it was nice to have people around me that was like, saying, supporting me, saying, no, we're here because we care about you. Yeah. We're here because we don't want this anymore for you. These are the people, the girls that were awesome. The girls that and the guys that I was in the group of water, we the water people carriers and stuff like that, and the other thing. But we were mainly handling the waters and stuff, and they were really supportive. I was the only black person in that group, and they were so supportive of me. I didn't know anyone. It's really nice that they're trying to understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess so. This would be my final question. Is just with these movements, what kind of change would you like to see happen? From these,
systematic. To stop all the racism, just to stop it. It's not going to happen overnight, and I want people to be realistic about it, because everybody's thinking, yeah, there's change. This is 400 years.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, my partner is Caucasian, and he's really as passionate as I am about all of this, and he's in Oklahoma. He went out to one of the marches even though we decided that he wasn't going to go because of COVID, and it's really bad in America, and he's taking care of his grandmother at the moment because and so we decided that he wasn't going to go, but I knew he went. I felt it. I was really happy. I was very proud of him, and he went to support the police. I couldn't do it. I could not go. I had to go, and I understood it. But even him, I said to him, because he's getting excited, and I said, I'm not excited. He said, why? I said, because yes, this is great, what's happening, but everybody thinks everything's going to change like this. It's not. We still have a battle. People don't understand it. People thinking that. For me, I don't believe everything's going to go like this, and everybody's going to be equal. It's going to be all great and hunky dory, and it's not. We still have a fight for our hands. And I said it again. The only way we're going to win is through revolution, not through the government giving us anything, because they won't. We have to take it. That's what's happened in the past, right? That's how America got it from England. They revolted, right? It was a revolt. So
interesting. Yeah, I've heard people mention things in terms of like defunding the police.
Yeah, like defunding. Yeah, but I think also they don't need the police in the communities. They're going to tell you what they want, because for me, in England, Conservative and Labour, they're one and the same. And so same in America, Democrats and Republicans, they're one and the same. They're one and the same, because if you remember during the abolishment of slavery in America, it was the Republicans that abolished it, not Democrats. Right? People forget that. and now it's all changed. But they all come from rich backgrounds. They don't know anything about our culture. The people that should be leading are people from the community. So the police should stay out of the communities. If they want the police in their own communities, and stay out of Hispanic communities and all the other communities that they don't represent. Stay out of the communities. That's one way it will work. Continue to buy black.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That I mean, I don't know. This is my things going. I just think that we should have our own party, a black party. I don't know what then we're going to call it. That we can go into politics, because the parties in England or in America or Canada or wherever, they're not for us. And just because they've got like the token black man or woman or Asian or whatever, they change. They forget who they are and where they come from.
Right. When you're given orders, you become kind of, and you're in that mindset of just following orders.
Yeah, but you can go on with all these policy perspectives, but then you sway because people go, no, you can't say that, you get beaten down. But if you're a strong person apart and don't care, right, and you got to be around like-minded people too, right? And if you're not, you're gonna sway.
Yeah. I like this. Cool.
But I'm not knocking I'm not knocking the marches and the protests. I think it's awesome. It's once in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this. It's great, but I'm also not jumping the gun. I'm being very realistic about what's happening, because this is like years and years and years and years and years of systemic racism and all that went with it. And we still have a lot of racists in power.
Right. I really resonate with your point that, it's not just a quick snap and, boom, it's done. Like, not just like, oh, implement a law, boom, it's done. Oh, implement some kind of institutional training or whatever. Yeah.
Words and actions right now. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We should do this. Yeah, but let's see what happens. Because I am not, because we've been here so many times, right? We've been here so many times. We've marched so many marches and so on, and we're still in the same place.
Cool.
I'm just being realistic. I don't want to build up my hopes until I see some big progress, some big differences that's happening. I can walk somewhere and not feel, oh, you're a good person, or someone will say something derogatory to me, or microaggression, and they think it's okay because they're comfortable in their skin and comfortable and with their privilege. So
right.
So when all that's gone, then I can see there's a change, and that's what I want people to realize and see all that.
I love how your hair looks awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have any final message, I guess, you wanna just end it off with?
I don't really have a message as such, because I'm not really a leader. I'm.
I feel like you are, though.
You do?
Absolutely, yeah.
I just think we all should have a voice. That's all I believe. We all should have a voice, and I believe that Japanese people, including a lot of my friends, they're silent, because when you're silent, you're part of the problem, right? And Japanese people that go online saying this doesn't affect us, it does affect you, because you're liking a lot of our culture and our classical music that you're liking, it's ours. So
yeah.
Right, so you say it doesn't affect you, but it does.
Right. It's almost like that's
you also in America, and people doing the same thing to you, but it affects you because we're here, we're humans, right?
It's almost like an issue of awareness, like trying to raising awareness of how much you benefit from from this culture, from these people.
But what really, the beneficial, but listen, we're all humans.
Yeah,
that's the point. I don't have to be of a different ethnicity, right? I don't have to be a different color. We're all human.
Right. Fundamentally, yeah.
We're all human beings. And that's all it really is. You can't be talking about, oh, this is Japan. I don't care. We're all humans.
Yeah.
And it's offensive to me when they say that. And it's offensive to me when they're silent. Because you're telling me you don't care. And you haven't got our backs.
Yeah.
You expect us to have your back if it's happening to you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't, and we would.
Yeah. I like that. I like it. Cool. I feel like this is a really good place to leave it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I hope I've said the right things. I hope I've given you some education and enlightened you on things.
100%. I definitely feel like personally, just for me, just to hear your passion and your emotion, it really resonates with me. It's almost like I'm just like, yeah, like it empowers me to be like, yeah, I want to support you. I want to be there to fight for those like fundamental human rights that everyone deserves, no matter who you where you are. I'm just like listen to you. I'm just like, damn straight, like that makes so much sense. We're all human. It's so simple. It's so simple.
It's simple. That's it.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Are you gonna post it on Facebook? Because I wanna find you on Facebook. You said you're gonna post it.
I'm on Facebook. If that's okay with you, I wasn't just gonna go post it on Facebook. I wanted to check with you.
Yeah, I want to share it on my page. Because you told me, and I said, yeah, I'm good. I want to share it on my page too, because it's really important. So that people that know me can.
Yeah. I can't see the time, so I don't know how long it is, but I hope people don't mind. The time.
It's an hour and 32 minutes.
Okay. So it's that's like a normal podcast time. Yeah. But my gosh, like, yeah, this kind of just, if anything, like I have to say thank you, because like you're giving me like kind of inspiration and like fuel to keep going and trying to like push to get people's voices to be heard. Essentially, is kind of like what I feel like I can do. I can draw out the questions and like draw out the voices and the stories. Right. So I guess that's how I want to contribute. Absolutely. No. Yeah.
I do, and I appreciate that. You asked me. I really appreciate that.
Cool. What's I don't know. What do you have next for your day today?
What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Grading.
Nice.
I'm grading the student stuff because they're gonna want their scores because the first just finished.
Yeah.
So they want their scores. I just got my class today, so I did really well. So I'm really proud of it.
Yes. I love how you're doing. You get them in suits when they're giving the presentations.
I want them to take it seriously.
I love it.
And they do take it seriously. They read.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And their speeches it's not memorized.
Oh, that's cool. I've been there. I've seen that. Yeah.
It's not memorized at all. They're working in groups, and they and it's not about me. It's about them, and they don't have time for being shy. Honestly, they realize they don't have time. Because I'm here to build your confidence. Just do it. Have a good time. Use the English that you know. Because you've been speaking English since what? Elementary school? Use what you know.
Yeah. It's all mental, You have the skill, you have the ability. You just have to take away that self.
It's because this is another thing, completely different, but it's because they've been conditioned, and teachers are very good at picking out faults with students. That's why students don't want to speak. Right? Put your mind back to when you were at school. And the teachers showing off because they can speak English. It's not about you. It's not about you, teacher. And then the students will get scared to speak because every time they open their mouth, the teacher's going, chick out. No,
right.
So the students get scared and they don't want to speak.
Yeah.
But my classes aren't like that. Make mistakes. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just speak.
Exactly.
You gotta lay that foundation first, right? You gotta lay down the foundation for them to speak.
Yeah. I don't even care if I don't understand you, as long as you're like trying and you're speaking.
But the thing is, I understand.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They're like, What do you like movie? We already know what movie do you like, right?
Yeah. I know what you're asking. Yeah.
I'll tell them, and they're like, they get it.
Cool.
And yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for this. It was awesome. Like it's kind of just like every little conversation just makes me feel like like more empowered to support and help more with your cause and everything.
And I'm looking out for you. My Facebook is just my name, Jennifer Wint, as
Yeah.
there.
Awesome.
And you're just Kwan Chan, or what's yours?
I'll find you. Easy. This is it's easy.
Mine's easy, right? Oh yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Please take care.
Thank you. You take care. All right. All the best. All right. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you.